I think it's fair to say that I get asked quite a lot what yarn I use for my crochet plushies, and it's honestly not surprising to me, because in my 2.5 years of crocheting, I've had pretty bad luck with yarn orders before, and I think lots of people do and get pretty frustrated with the quality of yarn. So today let's talk about yarn. Specifically, I'm going to show you the types and brands that I like to use, but also some that I don't really like. And I'd love to know your opinions too, so definitely leave me a comment with your favorite and least favorite type or brand of yarn. I'm sure some of you have some very strong opinions, and I'm absolutely here for it. Also, hi, I'm Sophia, aka Ghost Kitty Crochet, and I crochet mostly plushies inspired by anime and video games. And also, I'm in Europe, more specifically Germany, so I'm only going to show you the types and brands that are available here and that I have personally used. And one more thing, none of this is sponsored, this is all just my own honest opinions. So first, before we get to the specific brands and products, here's the types of yarn that I like to use. Chenille yarn, fluffy yarn with short fluff, fluffy yarn with long fluff, tiny velvet yarn, and tiny cotton yarn. The type I use most of the time is this regular size chenille yarn. It's just super comfortable to crochet with. Like, it's soft, it just feels nice in my hands, and crocheting with it feels really smooth. Like, the hook just kind of glides through the stitches nice and smooth. And it's easy to see the stitches too, which isn't the case with some fluffier types of yarn. And the size of it is just really nice. I feel like with smaller types of yarn, it sometimes takes you like 10 hours to make a plushie of maybe like this size. And with the size of chenille yarn, you can make like a pretty big plushie in that same amount of time. It just makes me feel like I've spent my time well. Like, it feels like a bigger accomplishment compared to making a tiny plushie, especially when the pattern and like the time you put into it is exactly the same. It just feels better. I also use this really big kind of chenille yarn sometimes, but it's actually kind of a workout crocheting with this just because you make bigger movements, I guess. Like, it actually makes my arms hurt after crocheting for a while, so I prefer this regular size. And here in Germany, it's super common, and so many shops and brands sell this type and size. And since they're all pretty much exactly the same and you can combine them with each other, there's just such a huge color palette to choose from across all of the brands that sell it. Let me show you my yarn storage. So this entire dresser is full of only this type of chenille yarn. I sorted it by color, and yeah, there's some skeins here and there that are slightly smaller or slightly bigger, but I can usually still combine them for a project, and it doesn't really change the end result much. So let's get into the specific products. My favorite is this one, Wool and Spunny Baby, just because the texture of it is so nice. Like, it feels really soft, but when you crochet with it, there's still like a tiny little bit of friction, which I think is good, because I don't like it when the hook like slips through the stitches too easily. Like with velvet yarn, it often feels just so slippery almost that you kind of lose control of your hook. And with this one, crocheting just feels super nice, and they have great colors too, especially some really nice shades of green, which I feel like is somehow difficult to find. So their pistachio and apple green are some of my go-to shades of green. I also like this mustard color and these shades of pink and this brown. My second favorite is Hobby Honey Bunny. I actually used to avoid this one for a while just because there was a period of time where all the chenille yarn I ordered from Hobby was just a really strange quality. So they have 3 products that are pretty similar: Honey Bunny, Baby Snuggle, and Toucan. And this was right after they released their Toucan yarn. And I ordered a big box of it, and everything felt really rough, like an old towel or something. And it was really difficult to crochet with. Like, my hook would get stuck a lot, and it felt like I was kind of fighting with this yarn. And somehow it wasn't limited to just Toucan. Like, whenever I ordered Honey Bunny or Baby Snuggle, they were really strange quality too. Not as bad as Toucan, but they still just felt kind of rough, almost like they'd been like bleached for too long or something. And considering they're pretty much my most expensive options for chenille yarn, even when they're on sale, I just didn't want to sink more money into them, so I tried avoiding them and switching to other products. But then after a while, I gave Hobby another chance just because they also have some of my favorite colors. And it was back to normal. Like, I do still get a bad quality skein every now and then, but like, I feel like that happens with every brand. I've had bad quality skeins of Wool and Spunny Baby before too, so I feel like it's just always a bit of a gamble. I don't like that it is, but like I don't have any physical yarn stores in my area really, so all I can do is order online and just hope that whatever arrives is at least decent quality. But yeah, for the hobby products, my favorite is Honey Bunny because it's just really nice and soft. Then Baby Snuggle, also soft, but not as soft as Honey Bunny. And I still don't trust Toucan, sorry. I think they're saying Toucan's benefit is that it doesn't get frayed as easily, so it's better for sewing. But I prefer like soft yarn that's really fun to crochet with and then maybe not so great for sewing over like rough yarn that really isn't fun to crochet with, but then okay for sewing. Just my opinion. And some of the colors from Hobby that I really like are this beige and light brown, this pastel yellow, this orange, this red, this pink purple because it's the perfect Espeon color even though it's Toucan, this blue, and this almost black color. It's not like fully black, but it reads as black, and it's so much easier to crochet with because you can actually see the stitches, and it's also easier to take pictures and videos of rather than like pitch black yarn. And in third place of my Chenille Yarn ranking, there's actually a bunch of products. I feel like they all kind of have their pros and cons, so I wouldn't necessarily say I prefer any of them over the rest of them. They're all pretty much on the same level for me. One of them is Grindle Funny Uni. It's a bit more expensive than others, but they're pretty reliable when it comes to quality. Their white yarn actually used to be my go-to white, because that's the color I got the most bed skeins of from other brands. I don't know why white seems to be such a difficult color for every brand, but Grindle Funny Uni is usually pretty good quality, though I did get bad white skeins from them before too, so it seems nothing is safe in this world. Another one is Yarn Art Dolce. They are usually really good quality and really nice and soft, and it has my favorite light blue, but I did hear from some friends that especially some of their darker colors or more intense colors like black or red have made their hands turn that color when they crocheted with it. This hasn't happened to me yet, but I have heard it from several people. And this is Leami Chenille. I don't know if it's even available outside of Germany, to be honest, because it's from a pretty small German brand or shop. It's called Leami. But I do really like the quality and the colors, especially this green and this pink. And this is actually now my go-to white yarn after Grindle let me down. And so far it's always been really great quality. I even recommended it to a friend and she got some white skeins too and was super happy with the quality. So I'm pretty sure this is her go-to white yarn too now. And last but not least, this is Himalaya Dolphin Baby. This is some of my favorite shades of gray. I feel like gray yarn often looks a bit yellowish or greenish sometimes, and these are just really nice, actually neutral or slightly bluish grays, which I definitely prefer. And other brands often only make like light gray and dark gray, and it's been difficult for me to find some like mid grays, but Himalaya Dolphin Baby actually has that, and they have a really good like color palette in general. Oh, and this big type of Chenille yarn that I showed you, that's Hobby Honey Bunny Big and Yarn Art Dolce Maxi. There's also Himalaya Dolphin Big, which should be about the same, but I haven't been able to try it yet just because I can just never get my hands on it. The colors I'm looking for are just always sold out or unavailable or whatever. And anyways, these are all pretty expensive and take up a lot of storage space, so I tend to not use them a lot. Because for most projects you need more than just like one skein of a color, but this isn't really something I can always just have a lot of at home. So I can't just like, when I see a project, go over there and pick out the yarn that I need the way I can do with like regular size Chenille yarn. I'd actually have to like place an order if I want to use it. I do also have some velvet yarn, which I guess is just a more shiny version of Chenille yarn. I have conflicting feelings about it. Sometimes I like what it looks like, but I feel like for lots of projects, it feels just kind of off that it's so shiny. Like, I don't want my plushies to look shiny necessarily. And like I mentioned, I also just don't love crocheting with it too much just because it can feel so like slippery. The only thing I really like about velvet yarn is the silver color, because this is really cool if you want something to look kind of metallic. Like on this Houndour plushie, I used it for these bits. So yeah, it's kind of like Comic Sans. Like, if you use it in the right context, it can be cool, I guess. Okay, but now let's talk about fluffy yarn. Honestly, whenever I work with fluffy yarn, I think like, why should I be doing this more often? Why am I not doing this more often? Like, I honestly don't know. I always think like it feels so nice to crochet with and like the results look so good too. Yeah, I don't know. So I have like two different types of fluffy yarn. There's this one type with pretty short fluff. I have it in 2 sizes, so this is what plushies look like with the smaller yarn, and this is what plushies look like with the bigger yarn. I definitely use the smaller kind more often just because, again, storage space. It just takes up much less space, so I can always have a bunch of colors at home, which just makes it easier for me to spontaneously use it for a project without having to like place a yarn order and then wait for it to arrive. So naturally I use it more often than the bigger one. And I love the way the finished plushies look with this too. And the product I use is this Elise Softy Plus, that's the smaller one, and Elise Softy Mega. There's also one that's just Elise Softy. It's the same fluff texture, just even smaller, but I haven't tried that one yet. I feel like at some point you just kind of have to commit to just a couple of different kinds of yarn, because like I just don't have the space to get another type of yarn in every color. And there's a German yarn shop, Friedas Wollhaus. I think they do ship internationally too. And they have a product that looks exactly the same as Elise Softy Plus and Elise Softy Mega. So far I haven't tried that one, but it's definitely on my shopping list. Some of my friends have used it and they said it's pretty much the same, so it just gives you a bigger color palette. This is the second type of fluffy yarn that I use. It just has longer fluff. And I have 2 different sizes of this one too. So the bigger one just has even longer fluff. So here's what it looks like compared to Elise Softy Plus and Elise Softy Mega. And this is what the texture looks like on finished plushies. So it has much more of like a fur texture, and you can't really see the crochet stitches at all anymore. And here's a size comparison of the finished plushies. So this one I made with the yarn that has even longer fluff. And it looks really cool when you combine fluffy yarn and chenille yarn for a project. So if you make specific parts of a project with fluffy yarn instead of chenille. Here's a few examples. So yeah, I love combining them. I think it looks really cool. Oh, and the products I use are Himalaya Koala, Woolens Fox, and this is also from Friedas Wollhaus, that German yarn shop. They're all pretty much exactly the same. The only difference I noticed is that some of the skeins from Friedas Wollhaus lose their fluff more easily, but not to a point where I wouldn't use it anymore or buy it anymore. It's still really good quality and super, super soft, which for me, like, that's the most important thing. And this one with the even longer fluff is Hobby Peacock. I do really like it. They just don't have lots of colors. And one product that I haven't really tried yet, but really, really want to at some point is Feels Like Bliss. I see this like everywhere on Instagram and it looks so pretty. But yeah, it's just really difficult to get in Germany with lots of shipping costs and everything. So someday for sure. And then this last category is pretty much just the yarn that I use for keychains and stuff like that. Most of it is in this drawer and it's kind of a mess right now. I really need to organize this, but yeah, so the type of yarn that I like to use the most for keychains is this tiny velvet yarn. And yeah, I know what you're gonna say.
I thought you don't like velvet yarn.
Don't expect me to be consistent in my opinions. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really like velvet yarn, but somehow this tiny version for keychains is really neat. And maybe it's just because I feel like my alternative is the cotton yarn that I have. And yes, I have a lot of it, but I actually don't necessarily like to use it. So in this case, I actually prefer the velvet yarn. Now I know there's tiny chenille yarn too, but like I said, at some point you kind of just have to commit to just a couple of types of yarn, because I just don't have the storage space to get tiny chenille yarn too in like every color. So maybe someday, but until then it's tiny velvet yarn for me. There's 2 different products I use. One is Ricoromi Nilly Nilly and the other one is Go Handmade Bohem Velvet Fine. I think in terms of quality, I like Nilly Nilly a bit more, but there's really nothing wrong with this other one too. Honestly, not much of a difference. And this is what finished projects look like with this type of yarn. And yes, for some reason, I don't really mind them being kind of shiny when they're keychains. I don't know why. And this is on the more expensive side, but like I've made so many projects with this type of yarn already, and the skeins just never seem to get much smaller, so I think they're worth the money. And then, like I said, I have a whole lot of cotton yarn, because it's pretty small, so you can just have a whole lot of different colors without it taking up too much space. I just don't use it very often because I feel like it hurts my hands. Like I usually crochet with pretty tight tension anyways, but with cotton yarn, it's even worse. It always makes my hands like really tense. And I hate when the yarn like splits and then you have to go back and try to make it look nice again. It's just, everything about it is just such a struggle for me. But then the other reason I don't really like to use it is, I I think a lot of the crochet stuff that you see like Temu resellers sell at conventions or try to sell at conventions, that's usually made with cotton yarn, or at least something that looks like it. So that kind of makes me not want to use it. And I'm not saying that like every cotton amigurumi looks like it might be from Temu. That's not the case. But I just like that the materials I use kind of make my stuff stand out from Temu resellers. I've also used some acrylic yarn for a project before, but like somehow this is super fuzzy and it was such a time-consuming project, so I definitely regret my yarn choice here. And I know there's some products that are like a mix of cotton and acrylic, but I just never really had a reason to give that a try. And there's a whole bunch of really good-looking and soft-looking options with like animal fibers too, but I'm a vegan, so personally I just don't want to use those. So yeah, that was all the yarn I use. Like I said, let me know your favorite and like least favorite type or brand of yarn in the comments. Or are there like any things that I said that you disagree with? Let me know. And feel free to follow me over on Instagram to stay updated on my pattern releases and to just see whatever I'm currently crocheting. So see you there or back here in 2 weeks for my next video. Bye bye!